As we started to say a little bit ago, whether you know about law of attraction or not, whether you understand your reason for being here, the purpose and value of it, still you're banging around in contrast, and still you're birthing all kinds of rockets of desires, and you are adding immeasurably to the expansion of this universe, whether you know you are or not. And the source energy part of you is reveling in the ideas that are produced from your synthesizing of life. Many of you aren't too keenly aware of the emotions that you have because you're just used to being ornery. Which means you're just used to consistently beating the drum of things that consistently, chronically hold you far enough away from the things that you really want that you never really let them come in, at least not without a big ordeal or struggle. Oh, you get pretty good. You let some of them in. You work really hard. You hardly sleep. You give it everything you've got. It's like you take your canoe down to the river's edge and you would deliberately point it upstream and you begin paddling really, really hard. We say, there's a wonderful current and it's going that way. And you say, oh, but that would be so easy. Anybody could just let go of the oars and go that way. Where would be the diligence in that? Where would be the valiance in that? There's no reward in that. People don't get trophies for just floating downstream. That's what you tell us. And we want to say to you, yes, they do. The people who are succeeding in the way you call true success, those joyful beings who the things that they want are flowing to them effortlessly by your standards, they are those who have learned to let go of the oars and allow the current of the universe to take them to the manifestations. And the only reason, well, there are a few, but they all are based on the same premise. The reason that you don't let yourself flow easily is because you have, and it's not a bad thing. In fact, we'd even go so far as to say, don't blame yourself for it. You've got what is-itis. You are so aware of what is that you don't let yourself go to where you'd rather be. What is has, in most cases, your undivided attention. You talk about what is, you talk about how you got to what is, you talk about whose fault it is that you are where what is. You explain how long you've been there, you explain that your mother was there too. You explain that almost everybody you know is there, you join online chat groups about it. You complain about where you are, you don't like where you are, you have vivid detail about where you are. We say to you, where would you rather be? And you say, anywhere but here. And we say, really, where would you rather be? Well, over there. Well, what's over there? Well, I don't know. I've never been over there. I'm over here, as you can see. But what would it be like if you could get over there? I don't know. It's got to be better than over here. Did I tell you how long I've been over here? Did I tell you how much I don't like being over here? Did I tell you how many others are over here with me and none of us like being over here? Somebody should call somebody. We don't want to be over here. We think somebody should do, maybe if we go to an Abraham meeting, Abraham will tell us how to stop being over here. And we want you to begin to get the sense that law of attraction is responding to this non-physical part of you that is become and becoming. It is a huge, huge, huge becoming. In fact, it is the reason for that stream that we want to sort of get an idea of. This stream where nothing is upstream that you want, everything is downstream. Everything is in the flow of that feeling of calling. So it's interesting as we watch you, because we notice that as you live life, the synthesizing of life is what causes you to ask for more. And when you ask for more, the source within you becomes it. And when law of attraction responds to that huge becoming, it creates such a powerful calling for you. In other words, what we're saying to you, did you hear it? Your sifting through life is what makes your stream go faster. And if your stream weren't moving faster, you wouldn't feel uncomfortable in not going with it. What we're trying to say to you is, you just have to find a way to keep up with you, because you can't stop becoming. And if you do become, which you constantly are becoming, and you don't let yourself really fully become what you have become, then you don't feel good. Sort of kind of get what we mean? In other words, if you keep beating the drum of the magnificent contrast that caused you to identify what you want, you never let yourself get what you want. And that's why you say, I felt a lot better before I knew I wanted that. Because it's miserable consciously realizing you want something and not knowing how to get there. But we want to say to you, if you could give up on the idea of trying to figure out how it's going to come and where it's going to come from and who's going to bring it and when it's going to come, and instead you could just focus softly upon what it is you want and why you want it, what and why, you would begin to feel relief as you focus upon the things that are in your escrow. And do you know, when you feel the slightest little bit of relief as you focus upon the things you want, you leave a little bit more resistance behind and you move a little closer toward what you want. We call this the art of allowing. Art of allowing what? Art of allowing me in my human form to be a vibrational match to the non-physical part of me. The art of allowing me to stay up to speed with me. The art of seeing the world through the eyes of source. The art of loving because I'm a lover, not hating because somebody did something hateful and I'm looking at it. The art of knowing because I am eternal rather than being confused because I've got myself pinched off from my knowledge by beating the drum of things that are not in concert with who I really am. You are a lover, and when you do not love, you pinch yourself off from your resources from source. You're clear-minded. And when you do not allow yourself to hold the vibrational tone of who you really are, that's when confusion sets in, you see. Sometimes we see you wanting something and not figuring out how to get there and feeling the discord. And this is the thing that we want to say to you about so many things. When you have this mindset that says, when I get this thing I want done, then I'll be happy, you've got it all screwy in your mind, because it was never the getting of anything done that made you sign on for this leading edge time-space reality co-creative experience. You don't go on vacation. You don't plan your itinerary. Let's see, I'm at home and I'm going to go here, 13 cities, and then I'll come back home. You never say, oh wait, home's my final destination and I am home. Why go? I might as well just check vacation off my list because I seem to have accomplished it already. And we so want you to get the idea of this. There isn't anything that you want to get it done. The whole reason that it exists is because as you wanted, it caused the larger part of you to vibrationally become it. The joy of life for those of us who are non-physical and the joy of life for those of you who are physical is the closing of the gap between the inception of the idea and the manifestation of the idea. That's where it all is. So many people think that the whole goal is to die in order to go to heaven. In other words, isn't that my objective? Shouldn't I come forth and do whatever it takes so that when I croak, I get... And we say, you didn't come forth in order to achieve perfection, because none of us will ever do that, because we are eternal. We can't get it done. There's no getting it done. If you are eternal, you are expanding. You just have to accept that concept, yes? We are eternal beings, always in the process of expanding. And when you accept your incompletion and you revel in the fun of asking and becoming and asking and becoming and asking and becoming and asking and becoming and asking and becoming, asking and becoming. And so someone says to you, oh, I know you had a goal set. Did you accomplish it? And you say, no. And they say, so you really want it, but it's not done? Why are you still happy? And you say, because the existence of this idea calls life through me all day, every day. Because this is a vacation that never ends. And I'm enjoying the journey. Now we know you've heard those words. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. You're so sick of enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. We want you to know it's a never-ending journey. You might as well start enjoying it. And we think that it would be nice for you to let the poignancy of this life call forth from you your unique idea, and then recognize that it's an idea that you're not a match to, but that you could be. And then as you work to find familiarity within that idea so that you close the gap on where you chronically vibrate and make yourself vibrate in the relief of coming into alignment with who you really are, oh, it's so much more easy than you know. If you could see an aerial view of what's going on vibrationally that you have created for yourself, and if you could feel the dynamics of all the source energy attention to that, and if you could understand law of attraction's response to what's going on to your request for desire, you would never again doubt your worthiness, and you would never again deprive yourself of the well-being that is yours by beating the drum of some insignificant thing that is troubling you in your mediocre day-to-day physical life experience. You would not let those bothersome things deprive you of all that you've got set up over here. You'd live it, and you'd live it now. You would let petty differences fall by the wayside. You'd let things that bother you, that people have been saying about you or about anything, fall by the wayside. You would get so focused upon who you really are that you would become the being that you were born to be. You weren't born to be ornery. You were born to be joyful. You weren't born to be poor. You were born to be prosperous. You weren't born to be confused. You were born to have clarity and passion and enthusiasm for life, you see. Don't fritter that away with the petty details that are surrounding you. Let what is serve its purpose of reminding you who you are, and then turn your undivided attention to who you are. And when you do that, you know what will happen? When some ornery person, somebody who betrayed you, somebody who did something wrong, they lied to you, whatever, when somebody like that is in your life, and you launch this rockets of desire, maybe many of them. In fact, the people that bother you the most are the ones that have helped you to contribute most to your vibrational escrow. Do you know that? Those people that have given you the most grief have helped you the most. We're not kidding. When you care about the way you feel so that you turn your attention toward it and you find vibrational alignment with it, you know what happens? Everything that doesn't match who you now have trained yourself to vibrational be has to leave your experience. You don't have to divorce them. You don't have to fire them. You don't have to have them killed. You don't have to run away from them, because nothing that is a mismatch to who you are can come to you. So if you've got people in your life that are driving you out of your mind, it's because you're not a vibrational match to what you want. You're a vibrational match to what you've got. And here's the part that we so want you to hear. If they hadn't caused you to become more, your focusing upon them would not be tearing you apart. We love that you want to hear this. If they hadn't helped you through the contrasts that they are displaying, if they hadn't helped you to become more, you wouldn't be feeling the discord of not now being more. So you could say to the person who's bothering you the most, "Thank you very much. You caused me to become something so much more. Unfortunately, I don't have the willpower to focus on that. So I'm doing what I always do. I'm focusing on where you are, and now it's tearing me apart, and I am so mad at you about it. Because if you hadn't been that way to begin with, you wouldn't have caused my expansion. And if you weren't over there being the way you're being and making me look at you, then I could go to my expansion. But I haven't gone to my expansion. I'm looking at you, and it's all your fault." How about that? Don't you love knowing that you have the power? And don't you want to appreciate every one of them who in every case are doing the very best they know how to do? Not one of them came forth and said, "I was born to screw up your life. I'm just going to plant myself right here and make sure I do a really good job of that." Not one of them is intentionally doing anything to you. They're just in many cases hanging on for dear life and helping you grow. And if you don't turn in the direction of your growth, but instead you're enticed to keep looking at that which has caused you to grow, then you're the only one that can do anything about that. And doesn't that in some way give you back some of your power, knowing that? So get a notebook and write in your notebook something that says, "Dear demonic troublemaker in my life," or call them by name. What is it that I am thinking about you that's keeping me from being who I have become? Feel how empowering that is? What am I thinking about you? Feel the power in that, as compared to what is it that you are doing that you need to do differently? Because you can't get them to do something differently. A lot of them really want to and can't do it. So instead of saying, "What is your problem that's making me feel this way?" instead you say, "What is it, friend, that I'm focusing upon you that is the opposite of what our relationship has caused me to become, that is holding me from now being what our relationship has caused me to become? Why am I giving you the credit?" Well, we'll tell you why. Blame feels better than guilt, but we don't want you to have blame or guilt. We want you to have alignment. Well, that was a very good aha moment, wasn't it? So now, what do you want to talk about?